As parents, we are often unsure of what we can do to help our little ones learn to say their first word, but the good news is most babies are very good communicators, and there's some really simple things that we can do as parents to help our babies learn to talk. And some of these strategies are things that we already naturally do, but some strategies we definitely need to be taught. So in this video, I'm going to cover the known and unknown strategies which you can use with your little one to help them say their first word. But before we do, make sure you click on that free PDF document in the description box below, which covers the developmental milestones you can be expecting for your little one in their first year of life. This will give you an invaluable peace of mind, as you'll know when to be expecting skills and when to be concerned. At 8 to 9 months of age, you will notice that your little one starts to increase the amount of babbling they do. So they're trying to use lots and lots of sounds to communicate with you. And at 10 months, they'll start to use gestures where they'll start to point, they'll start to clap their hands, and they'll start to wave. Now at this point, we can really ramp up what we're doing to try and encourage our baby to communicate more with us by using gestures and actions and then words. So the very first thing you need to do with your baby at this point is you need to start telling them exactly what you're doing throughout those everyday activities. So when you're changing their nappy, giving them a bath, or dressing them or putting them to bed, what you're wanting to do is use the exact same words to describe the action that you're doing. So if, for example, you're going to change your baby's nappy and you're trying to put their leg in a pant hole, what you would say is I would pick up the pants and I'd say pants on, and then you would lift one leg and I'd say lift leg in hole, and then lift leg in hole, pull pants up. And each time you're doing this, your baby is hearing the exact same words to describe those actions. And what that is doing is helping your baby firstly identify what those words actually mean. So when I say leg, I'm lifting the leg. So it's helping your baby actually identify what the words mean, so it gets that understanding, and then that will help so that your baby will start to predict the movements that you're doing, so they'll start to help in those everyday activities. But more importantly, it's going to be easier for them to reproduce that word when they're ready, because they know what that word means. Now this leads me on to my second point, which is when you are talking to your little one, you want to use really simple sentences. So I would generally only use 1 to 2 words at this point. So if I'm asking them if they want a drink, I wouldn't say, Susie, do you want a drink? I would get the drink and hold it up and say drink and point to it. So you're limiting the amount of words that you're using, and this will reinforce with your baby that what the word again actually means, because you're only using 1 or 2 words to describe an object or an action. And it also helps in aiding in their understanding and then the reproduction of that word. The next thing you want to do is start to label your baby's actions and gestures. So this helps to firstly tell your baby that by using gestures and actions, they're actually communicating with you. So if they reach out to the ball and they go, ah, 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 then you would say, oh, you want the ball? Here's the ball, and you'd roll them the ball. And that, again, by saying ball multiple times, tells them what the object is called, but also reinforces to your baby that they have communicated to you by using their hands and noise that they're wanting something, and you've correctly understood it and given them the item. So again, that reinforces their motivation to continue to use actions and sounds to gain your attention and communicate with you. Now, when you're talking to your little one, you want to make sure that you're actually on their level. So if they are sitting, you also want to be sitting, or if they're lying on the ground, then you also want to be lying on the ground, or you want to be close to them. There's no point talking to them across the room, because they're not actually going to know that you're talking to them in the first place, because they're so entertained by everything in the actual environment. So you want to get nice and close to them, so approach them. Make sure that they can see your eyes and your lips. And when you're talking to them, you want to use lots of animated facial expressions so that you maintain their attention. And you also want to highlight keywords. So you will notice that when I say, do you want the bottle? I go high with the bottle to emphasize the word that I'm trying to pair with the object. So you try and make your words more interesting and engaging for your baby, so you maintain their attention, because their attention span is so fleeting. You also want to use gestures and actions when you're talking to your baby, because that helps them understand what you're saying. So if you're going to say car ride, then I would get a keys and actually jingle the keys and say car ride, or time for the car and jingle the keys. That way your baby's starting to link the keys with the action of going into the car and going for a drive, and they will start to identify that car is the actual object that you're going in. You also want to start labeling familiar objects and toys to your little one. So if they have a particular Snuggie, then you would start to label that Snuggie every time they go to hold it or they point to it, so that they can start to associate that word with meaning the Snuggie. The other great activity you can do with your little one at this age is read a book with them. So when you're having your little cuddle, what you want to do is look for books that are bright in color. Generally, board books are really good because they are going to reach out and they will rip them quite a lot, or books with a flap. And that just ensures that they're going to be something that they're going to be able to use for a long period of time and not destroy them. Now, when you're reading the book with your baby, it's not important about reading every single word that's on the book, particularly if there's lots of words on those pages. What you want to do is point out items in the pictures. So just completely forget about the words, and what you do is, if it's a farm book, you would point out the animal on that page and you would say the sound that that animal makes. So if it's a cow, I would go cow, moo. At that point, when you make the animal sound, your little one will actually look at you, because those sounds are generally really interesting for babies, and it's actually those sounds that are the ones that they're more likely to say as their first word. So instead of saying dog, your baby might first say woof woof, because they know that that sound is associated with the dog, and that's perfectly fine. Now, you also want to remember to pause. And this is really important when you're playing with your little one, or when you're reading to them, or just trying to get them to communicate with you. The pausing gives them an opportunity to give you some form of communication, whether or not that's look at you, make a noise to indicate more, or use their hands or head movements to say yes or no. So basically what you do is, for example, in this video, when I'm playing with my little one, I have the ball and I will roll it to her and she'll roll it back to me. But what you'll notice is when I have the ball, I pause and I wait for my little one to actually look up at me or give me some form of communication that she wants me to roll it again. And it's when I get that communication, I would actually roll her the ball back. So you can do that when you're playing with your baby on the swing, or when they're kind of wanting more food, or if you're wanting another block in play. What you do is, particularly when you're on the swing, you would go ready, set, and then I would wait for your baby to look up at you or make a noise, and then once they do that, you go, and then you push them. Or if they want more food, I would wait until the tray's empty and then hold the food beside them, and then wait for them to look at the food, and then and when they do that, I would say, you want more, and put more food on their plate. So pausing is really important because it gives your baby the opportunity to communicate to you in some way, and it teaches them that communication is a two-way street, so that someone can help you but you need to ask, or someone can enjoy a game with you but you need to communicate with them. The other thing that you want to do is turn off the TV, even if it's on in the background, because research has shown when the TV is on in the background, us as parents often get really distracted. Even though we're not watching the TV, we will get distracted at some point, and then we're not as responsive to our little ones. And also research has shown that when you sit a baby in front of the TV, it doesn't actually help foster their communication, because communication is all about engaging with another person. So the TV doesn't actually respond when your baby makes a sound by giving them a smile or doing some actions. Instead, it kind of stays 2D. So it doesn't actually give them any kind of response. But as parents, or as people, when a baby makes a sound or giggles, we automatically give that baby attention and engage that baby. And by engaging with the baby, we're reinforcing that communication attempt. Now, there's also lots of information out there at the moment on baby signing, which is basically a kind of a formalized program where you are taught gestures to link with certain words, and you can start using that with your baby to try and improve their communication skills. Research is showing there's little evidence to actually say that it does improve your baby's language skills if your baby is typically developing. But if you want to do it, that's fine. There's no harm in doing it. But if you don't want to do it, then that's also fine. Doing these other strategies will help in your baby's overall language development. So those are the really simple activities that you can do with your little one to help their overall language development and learn their first words. Make sure you click on that free PDF document below, and hopefully I'll see you next week where I'll share more parenting tips and tricks.